Now, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you. I would start by saying a straightforward definition. A disaster or disasters are a series of events with extreme circumstances. So a disaster to you on a lighter note than having a wrong wife or husband. But in this case, a disaster would clearly be something that affects you in a certain wise. And I always like using personal examples. 2 disasters to me, and it's important because in the long run, recommendations will come on this. Number 1 was as a young practitioner in the early 90s, I took a number of investors to Ajah to buy property. We did our searches, the results came out right, and shortly after, for those who had built properties, their properties were demolished. For those who had not built, the land was taken over. That was an absolute disaster. The second example was one of the buildings that collapsed in Lagos recently. I'm sure you know the one I'm talking about. My team had gone to inspect just 1 week prior, and then the property collapsed. The fact that it collapsed was a disaster to the guy who was building, the developer, and the fact that it collapsed was also a disaster to those who had invested. So there are quite a number of ways that we could actually grade these disasters. I am sure at the end of today, the question would be, how do we mitigate? And let me add one final one. And this is a question of optics, and this is where the Lagos State government really needs to do something very strong. I was in Saudi Arabia last week for a conference, and one of the Saudis asked me, what is going on in Nigeria where houses are being destroyed? So it tells you that for a large economy like ours, the story is going all over the world. The question is, how are we mitigating? Saudi, a country that is just opening up its economy, is fully aware of what is going on in Lagos State. I think I can pause here.